Hello ladies and gentlemen, I know you're really excited. It's your third favourite teacher, Mr. Cini, and this is your second favourite subject, Digital Solutions. And this is probably Playford's most economically run presentation that you're about to see for this class. Welcome to this brand new concept called Build It or Break It. Basically what we're going to be doing today in this quick video is we're going to be investigating one exciting bit of technology, and you, the student, are going to choose, once we've learned 3 facts about that technology, you're going to have the choice to tell me whether we keep building this technology or whether we break it. And today, we're going to be looking at the iPhone. We're going to be looking at the iPhone for a few reasons, but one, it's a common piece of technology that I know you're all really familiar with, and you've probably seen it or you've used it, but how much do you know about the iPhone? How much do you know about how it's made, how often it's used, and its environmental impact? So at the end of this, you're going to have the choice to break the iPhone or to continue building it. The choice is always in your hands. So we're going to look at 3 facts today. Fact number 1, the iPhone has absolutely transformed the market. It's absolutely transformed the way that humans interact with technology. It's literally put the internet in our pocket, which is a real scary thought. The iPhone also redesigned software. There were lots of smartphones existing before the iPhone was released in 2007, but when it hit the market, you were able to access the internet and download software applications using your iPhone. You didn't need a USB or a CD, so it absolutely transformed the way that people were designing software. A quick look at the reach of the iPhone. 1.3 billion phones have been sold since the iPhone was released in 2007, which is incredible. Over 1 trillion photos are captured on an iOS device per year. Poor old Siri is the hardest working, I was going to say person, but bit of technology we've ever seen. Siri completes over 1 billion auto requests per month. That's incredible. And 500 million visits to the App Store on a weekly basis. So now that you know all of this information and you can see or get a better picture of how much the iPhone has transformed the way we live and the market, I want you to do a little bit of research, and I want you to investigate how the iPhone has transformed the world. All right, so in this discussion post, I want you to write a full response using full sentences and technical terminology where applicable, telling me why you think the iPhone has transformed the world in 100 words or more. Now we're ready to look at fact 2 about the iPhone, and we're going to be looking at how the iPhone's made. So 217 million iPhones are made per year. That's a crazy amount, and it takes a huge workforce to be able to make those iPhones. But if we look at the way it's manufactured in large factories. The iPhone is designed in California, but it's actually made all around the world. So there are parts that are made in Korea and Japan that could be shipped to a manufacturing plant or a factory in China and assembled there. There are 400 individual steps to assemble an iPhone from start to finish. There are 500,000 iPhones made a day, with 350 iPhones manufactured a minute. That's at the largest factory in China, so that's not all over the world. Really, to get a better understanding of how iPhones are made, I implore you all to do a bit of reading, which I know you love. If you have a look at this article by the New York Times, it's called An iPhone's Journey, and it breaks down how that iPhone's made step by step. Once the iPhones are made in a factory, they are then put into an individual case, and then they are boxed onto a Boeing 747. 157,000 of them are in fact boxed and put onto a plane at once. The iPhone footprint employs 2.4 million people, so it's a huge operation, and it creates so many different jobs. They're largely based in factories around Asia, but then also you're looking at all of those people that are making the apps and the software and the cases and then repairing iPhones. They're all around the world, with a large portion of that footprint also being in Silicon Valley, which is in California. Really important that we understand who's making the iPhone. So when we look at some of those factories, they are paid very small amounts, and they're working long hours. Often they're working up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they earn roughly $1.90 per hour. I want you to watch this video and have a look at some of the working conditions, and I want you to think about, if we're paying, if a rich person or someone who's comfortable enough with money that can afford an iPhone, they're paying about $650 for the iPhone. But what's the cost of that for the people that are making it if they're only earning $1.90 per hour? So there's a whole range of different issues to be explored here. So that's where it's up to you to look at this discussion, and I want you to discuss the idea, would you work in an iPhone factory? Would you be comfortable going to work 6 days a week, working long hours, and being paid around $1.90 per hour to make these iPhones? in sometimes very arduous and uncomfortable conditions. So now it's your opportunity to do a bit of research, watch that YouTube video, and then have a look at the assignment, jump on the Flipgrid, and in 90 seconds or less, I want you to tell me, would you like to work in a factory manufacturing iPhones, and have a look at the pros and cons. If you do want to work in a factory making iPhones, that's great, tell me why. If you don't, that's also fine. You just need to justify those reasons. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to hear your thoughts. Now it's time to look at fact number 3 about the iPhone, your favourite new invention which you can't get enough of. We're going to be looking at the environmental impact of an iPhone. What happens to it once you've used it? So when you buy an iPhone, the lifespan of an iPhone on average is just under 2 years. So that's how often people are using it, or how long they're using it for before they discard it. A new iPhone is released on market every 1 to 2 years, and they often have extra features, new exciting features, which are then encourage everyone who's just bought an iPhone to throw away their current iPhone and buy a new one to get their hands on the latest features and technology. And what we do is we see that the iPhones are actually designed to only last around that 2 years. So iPhones slow down. They might become slower, they might not have access to new features. Battery life might become less durable and things like that. So Apple are really cleverly trying to gear the market up to buying a new iPhone every 1 to 2 years. And then what happens with those iPhones is we throw them away. 218 million iPhones are thrown away every year. So when we throw away those 218 million iPhones per year, it can take up to 1 to 2 million years for those iPhones to fully decompose. And that's talking about all those different little parts in the iPhone. So if you throw it away in the bin and it's not taken apart and recycled, it sits in landfill, and it will do that for a very, very long time. So what's the responsibility that Apple or any manufacturer have when they're designing these products? What's the environmental impact that they're having? Apple's answer to this was that they designed Liam, who's a 29-armed robot designed specifically for the task of deconstructing and recycling iPhones. So Liam's capable of taking apart 1.2 million iPhones per year. And that's great, but how many Liams do we actually need to resolve the issue of 218 million iPhones being thrown away every year? So now it's time for you to get involved again, and I want you to discuss, why does it take an iPhone so long to decompose? So if you're putting it in the bin, it takes 1 to 2 million years for that iPhone to decompose. So I want you to look at the materials in the iPhone. What material takes the longest? Is it the glass? Is it the plastic? And are there any toxic elements in an iPhone that can then poison the soil or become hazardous to any water sources? Where are the iPhones sent? Are they decomposed in Australia, or do we ship them to other countries in Africa or Asia? What's the environmental impact of that? So I want you to write, again, I want you to look at writing a full response to this. If you want to record it, that's fine as well, but in 100 words or more, I want you to be able to discuss why does it take so long for an iPhone to decompose. Now that we've fully explored the iPhone and we've looked at those 3 facts, and we've discussed today how the iPhone's transformed the market and the way that people interact with technology, we've looked at how the iPhone's manufactured and the labour conditions that people work in when they are part of that assembly line when it comes to iPhones. And we also just looked at the sustainability of an iPhone and how an iPhone is broken down, or what happens to it when it's discarded. We've got one more challenge, and I want you to investigate one of these 4 options here. Excuse that little bit of noise. So I want you to Google, I want you to research, I want you to use everything you've got at your fingertips, whether you're at home or whether you're at school, and I want you to look at one of these issues here. What is iPhone slowdown, and is it okay? What data does an iPhone collect and store about its user? Are iPhones affordable? And is your iPhone listening to you? Choose one of those topics, and I want you to investigate it. Research the topic you've chosen using any means possible, whether that's the internet or pulling out a nice old Encarta DVD or whatever you've got at your disposal. And I want you to write 200 words around this topic. I want you to explain the topic. What does some of the terminology in this topic mean? And tell me any potential solutions that might exist as well if one of these topics poses a question or an issue to be solved. Now that we've looked at all of those different facts and you guys have investigated all of these different issues around the iPhone, here we get to the real exciting point. You get to tell me whether you're going to build it or break it. So the choice is yours. All right, you are the luckiest students in the community to have this opportunity to explore the concept of build it or break it. When it comes to the iPhone, what are you telling me we're going to do with it? You know everything there is to know about the iPhone now. Are you building it, or are you breaking it?